I don't need a coat. I'm basically a sheep. Ahoy! I hope this finds you well. It is a very grey, very dark Wednesday morning. Unusual day for me to record. Loads of weird noises happening yesterday. It sounded like War of the Worlds out there. It was wild. I don't know what happened, but we're here today. And today we're going to talk about as many of the jumpers that I have in as much detail, and kind of less about, I'll tell you what they are, but the focus for me is, you know, how yarns lasted and what I like about it and what I've grown out of, or, you know, a bit reflective and hopefully in a way that is useful and beneficial for you. As a new knitter, as an experienced knitter, as someone that's looking to try new yarns, or, you know. And I have a feeling that the way these have been stacked are kind of roughly most worn to least worn, in that one is my main pile and there's a few over back here that are items that I have put to the side, or, you know, mostly because they were actually deep winter knits and I haven't used them. And I think that's because a lot of the way I've been dressing this winter in particular, and last winter, is more about lots of changeable layers. And I think that's generally a theme to the way I dress, but this winter in particular I've had, you know, a couple of thin layers of wool with a thicker layer of wool and another layer of wool, rather than going for one thick jumper. So yeah, I have got myself a cup of tea. This is my second cup of tea of the day. I'm not being very creative with my drinks, and I think that's just because that's what I've been doing at the weekend and in the afternoons, and I tend to try and film earlier in the day. It just feels right. So here we are, having a normal cup of breakfast tea. I talk about this mug loads, and it is one of my favourites. For no other reason than I've just had these, I don't know, bulbous, I think they're Cathkidston mugs, for years, and this is the last remaining one. And I've actually been trying to not be my habitual Hobbit goblin and have my morning tea from this every morning, because I've got it in my gut and my heart that it's going to break really soon. I really hope it doesn't, but so that I'm like prepared. So silly. Anyway, let's talk about knitting and how we're going to do this. In previous versions of this, I have talked about them, then tried them on in one fell swoop. This time I'm going to make it a little bit harder for myself, but I think it will help me reflect a bit better. I'm going to put each item on and show you and then talk about it, so that we can do it a little bit more, you know, on the ball, on the nose. I'm going to do my best to just leave what I'm wearing on so you can see them shown in the same way on the same body. There might be items where I want to put trousers on instead, but I'm currently wearing this is my little rebel dress that I knitted using Drops Puna. It's one of my favourite knitted items. It's really good, again, for layering. It's great in the summer, great in the winter. Alpaca is controversial for such an item, but so far it's held up really well. So I'm just going to wear that with as many of them as I possibly can. For reference, I am 5'4". I will try and remember what size I knitted roughly and if I met gauge or not. But again, some of these are 4 years old now, which is wild. And yeah, I think that's about it. I am going to start off with the one I'm wearing. This was just because I might change my hair soon, and I'm trying to get as much use out of the colourful knits, because I know that I'm fickle with colour. Anyway, This is my Elf Mail by Danny Meager. It is one of my all-time favourite knits for fit reasons, for aesthetic reasons, for enjoyability of knitting. I love that it's a fingering weight jumper. It's just one of my favourites. I'll show you quickly and then we'll come back. It's going to be a lot of me sticking my face in the camera. So I knitted this using my own hand-dyed yarn, so we won't talk about it. I would love to dye again, but you know. So it is a Yak Singles and a high twist blue-faced Leicester, which I definitely recommend as a combination for this. I think you've got slightly the metallicness that you would want from an elf mail kind of vibe, and a semi-solid or tonal for the main colour, and then a variegated tonal for this contrast colour is lovely. I love the raglan detail. I actually really like that this is a slightly wider neck than what you'll see is kind of more common for me. I think I'm starting to relax in that regard. You know, I've got a V-neck that I really like, and I'm starting to think that I do want a bit of more of a mix of different necklines in my wardrobe. I think I knit the second size and I knit it exactly to pattern this time round, following the decreases. I was a bit worried when I knitted this that it was going to fit incredibly tight, and actually I love the fit. It's got a little bit of positive ease in the body, and the arms actually have, they're kind of perfectly fitted. I don't think any tighter would be too much, and any looser actually for the way this fits. Yeah, so this is one of my favourite items, and I'm a bit sad I'm going to have to take it off. I think that is, if you want to ask any questions, do feel free, put them in the comments, and there should be some information on Ravelry about most of these if I don't mention it, and if not, I should be able to hunt my old videos if there's something that you absolutely want to know, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm weirdly good at a lot of this. I don't know why. Anyway, let's change. This is one of the few t-shirt items that I'm going to share, but this one to me feels like a jumper because it's knitted using DK and all over colour work. So I kind of put it in the jumper category because it is fairly impractical in certain weathers. However, this was one that I was going to get rid of, and now I feel like such a silly person for ever thinking that. This is another item that I wear quite a lot. Again, perfect for layers. I wear long sleeve tops underneath, mesh layers, and then cardigans over the top, and you know, it's perfect when the weather, you know, warms up throughout the day and you start moving and stuff for layering. And yes, this is the Soldotna by Caitlin Hunter. I initially was questioning my colour choice when I was thinking about getting rid of it. It kind of had a, I described it as Ladybird from Woolworth's, like, boy's outfit. It just didn't look very me, and now I feel silly because this is very me. A combination of charcoal grey, medium grey, a limeish green, and a deep forest green. So from memory, this is a Kelvin Woolens Scout yarn on the charcoal grey. The medium grey is Railwork DK in graphite, I want to say. The green is a Kate Davies yarn. I can't remember what it is. I should be able to put it on the screen. And the green is Railwork DK on the obsidian base, I believe, in one of the green colours. And yeah, I'm really happy with this. I actually ended up knitting 4 Soldotnas, and this is the only one left in my wardrobe. The rest have all been gifted to other people. I think I went to a slightly larger size on this one, and I think that really helped. Because of the way yokes are created, getting the right amount of ease is really important for it not to ride up, and this one rides up a little bit, but it's a totally fine amount, and the other ones were like, whew. And I really like the fit of it, and so far, considering how much I've worn this, none of it, there's a little bit of pilling on it, but it really is not really as much as I thought it would. Railwork tends to pill quite a bit, especially at the beginning, and I think at knitting at a slightly denser gauge than I did for my Ranunculus, which I'll show you, and it being in colourwork seems to really help negate that. I don't think I did any modifications apart from adding one more repeat onto the body. I think that's all I did from memory on this. Otherwise followed it exactly to pattern. So yeah, I really like this one. Thumbs up, lasted well. So this is the Vapu, and I will rummage through my pile and find out all of the rest of them and do a quick show and tell of them all. This is an item that I've joked about getting rid of and that I shouldn't wear, but I still insist on wearing this maybe once a week, twice a week. So I just love it. I have a newer version of it that I slightly modified, which I'll show you next so that you can see the comparison of them too. This was knitted, I think, to pattern on the smallest size using Drops Silk Alpaca held double, using recommended needles. I don't think I did any modifications to it, and it's grown quite a lot. It's peeled and felted a little bit, but considering the amount of, like, it started looking that way very early on, but like I said, I wear this thing so much. It's like the perfect oversized, relaxed, comfortable, and again, this is one that I wear loads of layers underneath and on top of. I wear my unarmoured defence cowl, this thing, which I felted, so I'm really looking to make a new one. I just need to order some more Pluto Lopi. I still wear it, it's just that this is a little bit more snug around my waist. So this goes underneath, and then suddenly I've got a really nice, cozy, warm area, but quite airy arms. I wear that with quite a lot of these items, so you can just imagine that. I feel like that is one of the most practical items that I've ever knitted. It's just incredibly useful. It's tiny, so I put it in my bag when it's cold out. If I'm wearing a smaller coat, or, you know, don't want to take a huge amount more layers out with me, like a shawl, that's just perfect because it hugs close and it's felted, so it's even more dense. But yeah, what else to say about this one? I certainly would knit it again because I have knitted this one, I think 8 or 9 times I've knitted this. I've done a cardigan version. I would suggest that if you are a person conscious of making things last and you're okay with mohair, knitting it in mohair would be better. The drapiness and the want to felt of alpaca does mean that this looks a little less fresh than the mohair version, but that is just the nature of alpaca, and that's something that I've learned, and it does pill quite a bit. What else is there? It's a super easy drop shoulder construction, so you're casting on the back all the way across and knitting it flat down to the armpit, picking up stitches on the shoulders, knitting down to the neck, then joining in the round for the body, and then picking up stitches around the arm and knitting them in the round. I love it. I think it's a great learning jumper, and a really good staple wardrobe piece. So this is the mohair version. I used mohair and a strand of 100% British wool cone. I don't know why that. By Woolly Knit. I really love this version. I knitted it as slightly denser. It has held its shape a lot better because of the mohair and the wool. Like the pairing of them two is perfect. It is a bit warmer for that reason, and hopefully, as you can tell, I'll bring this one up again, but in comparison, this one still looks new and this one definitely looks more aged. But I will continue wearing it. I know I will. In fact, I layered both of these together. This one over the top of this one is a great, warm, incredibly lightweight pairing. I don't think I did any modifications to this one. I think I maybe knitted less rounds on the collar, but otherwise I kind of knitted it to pattern. I think I did the sleeves just a touch shorter. That's because I kind of wanted them to sit more at bracelet length, but if I do want to tug them down, mohair just bounces back into shape. So yeah, I really love this one, and there are 3 more versions to show you, so we'll go through them quite quickly. This is a really good middle ground if you're a tiny bit sensitive to mohair and you really love alpaca. Using one strand of mohair and one of alpaca seems to be quite a good balance, especially considering how big and bulbous these sleeves are. It's held its shape quite well, and the same with the cuffs. I do need to do some mending, I think. I can't remember. Yeah, I've worn this one a lot. So this was Drops alpaca silk in like a coral colourway, held with a mohair that I dyed inspired by the My Chemical Romance 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge album cover, which is why this one's so special. And I modified the pattern slightly to give it a much more cropped fit. I think I picked up less stitches, let's take this one, to begin with on the sleeve, and then I did a couple of quick increase rounds and then a quick decrease round to get these big balloon sleeves. I do think this has opened up a bit, but a little bit of... This is my own fault because I wash it and then don't dry it properly. There you go. Yeah, it'll go straight. You can hear it. But this is one of my brighter jumpers in my wardrobe, and it is one of my favourite. I love the shape, and it's such an easy modification to do. And I would love to knit more of these, I'm not gonna lie, but I do not need any more in my wardrobe right now. But I think the pairing of an alpaca and mohair is a really sensible way to go if you, like I said, if you want to do the fluff. A strand of mohair with a woolly wool is also a really good way to go for longevity. Obviously knitting things at a looser gauge is going to make things a little bit less long wearing, but I don't know that that's entirely true with mohair, because it seems to just keep going. doesn't seem to felt. And I'll show you one of my mohair items that has been through the wash way hotter than it should have been, entirely by accident. Actually, and another jumper that went through the wash too, because I'm a bit of a sausage. But anyway, really love this one, and I have one more version of this jumper to share with you. And then we'll move on to something else. So I don't wear this one as much as I kind of should, and I think that's just because if there's a black version of an item in my wardrobe, I know I'm going to wear it more, and I have been. It's just very practical. I really like almost entirely colour blocked with one, like all black with a pop of colour, and that seems to be my favourite way of dressing. So this hasn't seen as much wear, but I do love it. And this was using Fonte on Bell, and this was knit to pattern from memory, I think. Again, I just did a few less rounds on the collar, but I might not have done. But I think this was knit to pattern exactly. And this was just a single strand of Fonte on Bell that Alex and I naturally dyed using, I think there was red onion, cabbage for the blue. I'm amazed that it's lasted as well as it had. Turmeric maybe? Mexican sage? I can't remember, but it was I did a little bit of a video on it, and they're all naturally dyed, and I can't get over how long the colours have lasted so well. This has been washed a few times, and it does feel very sort of Kurt Cobain-y, so I do quite like wearing it in that kind of style. Again, mohair and wool, it's lasted a lot better than the alpaca. It's the same construction, didn't modify it. So I think we can move on from the Vapu, which is an incredible staple for the wardrobe. Glide, there's another one. This one is the same as the black one. I picked up less stitches on the sleeves, so the sleeves fit better. And it's a cardigan version. All I did to modify it was when I picked up for the shoulders, instead of joining when I finished the neck and knitting back and forth, I just knit it in two separate panels and then picked up for the ribbing when I picked up for the collar. Or after. What did I do first? Yeah, so I did the collar and then I picked up and knitted the front band. Super simple. I don't tend to, as you'll see, I don't tend to add buttons to my cardigans. Generally, if I know that I'm going to want something done up, I will just put a jumper on. That is the way my mind works. So I don't tend to put buttons on my cardigans, and I also, if I really wanted to, can use a shawl pin, generally. So I really like this version. It has lasted a bit better. It is with the Drops Alpaca in black again, held with, I can't remember. I think it's Drops Nepal. I'm pretty sure it's that sort of base. Drops Flora, Drops Nepal. It is a very soft, slightly alpaca based wool, but it seems to have held up beautifully. I think I picked up less stitches on the sleeves, so they fit a bit better. Oh, this is starting to wear through. Oh, there's no more alpaca left on that sleeve. And the same on that one. So I might do some patching up, duplicate stitching on them. But again, this has seen so much wear. I wear it loads. I think this is a good, if you like sort of lightweight, loose gauge fits. I think this is a good one to modify into a cardigan, but there are plenty of drop shoulder cardigans out there. So and while we're on that, let's quickly talk about the one other black cardigan in my wardrobe that is one of my favourite pieces. This is the Tulk. Ooh. This is the Tulk by Albion McLaughlin, the ultimate lazy cardigan. I knit this one using a single strand of Plutalope in the black heather colourway for this one. No, black sheep heather, because it's got a bit of brown in it too. It is lasting well, it definitely is pilling. I'm quite impressed with the amount of pilling. It doesn't seem to be wearing through at all, and like I said, this is an unspun yarn and it's holding up beautifully. I will give this a little clean, but I throw this on with wool underneath and wool on top, so it's constantly getting felted essentially, and for it to still be, once you pick it off, to still have stitch definition on these stitches, I think is quite impressive. The fit of the cardigan itself is beautiful. Albiona does make, I think she's very, very good and conscious about shaping, and the shaping in this shoulder is beautiful. This is one of the best fitting cardigans that I've knitted, and the only modification I remember doing was I didn't do any shaping in the sleeve. I think that's an option, and then I did a slightly longer cuff. I think that's basically the only modification I did on this, and I love it. This is a really, really good staple to have in your wardrobe. It would be easy to turn into a jumper instead of a cardigan too, and it would fit beautifully. It's something that I would 100% knit again if I needed another cardigan. I have 2 black cardigans, and until one of them really calls it a day, I don't need to add another one of those to my wardrobe. But it's a wonderful pattern. I remember it being very clear. It has lots of options for different aesthetics you could get with the one pattern. Yeah, like I said, quite impressed with the way that this yarn is lasted, especially on the front. Like, it doesn't look like it's peeled at all, and considering how often this has been worn, it's holding up well, and you can still see the stitches in it, which I think is really impressive. This is one that I'll feel weirder talking about. This is the Drop Dead Freddie, or Drop Dead Freddie Stripey Jumper that I designed, and it is a drop shoulder construction. So again, you're knitting across the back and then picking up for the shoulders until you join for the neck, knit to the underarm, knit in the round. It has drop stitch details, which are some of my favourite. I used alpaca and Woolly Knits 100% British wool cone in black, and then I used Hobbies Kid Silk and Hobbies Kid Silk. I think it's in like colour 6. It'll be on the screen. And then I used Dinah's Home of Crafts mohair that has nylon in it, which is why I previously didn't use it. I didn't like how that felt at all. But held together with this normal mohair is divine. you can't tell that there's that nylon in there. And the colourway was juniper, so the juniper's a lot darker and the hobby ones are quite bright, so they kind of mesh together beautifully to create this green. Again, loose gauge. I really love this feel of like of fabric. It warms my heart quite literally. And yeah, so far it's lasted really well. I wear it a lot. It's fun to style. I really like to wear it with, I have my little chains with it, like a harness thing that brings it in at the waist. I quite like to wear it with jeans. I just like it anyway. It's longer, it's got a split hem. Yeah, nothing to say about on it's just lasting quite nicely. It's about the same as the others, maybe a bit more because of this golden mohair, which just makes things look and last a lot better for longer. Little Audrey is making very cute noises. I don't know if the mic will pick them up. This is the Dream Sweater by Claudia of Unit Toronto, who very kindly sent me the pattern and the yarn. The yarn is Kelborn Woolens Scout again, and this is charcoal grey and light grey, I think, from memory. This surprised me because I have worn it quite a bit. It is kind of, feels very me. There's the choice of colours are very me. It's sort of wintry and naturey, but also it's quite dark. I really was struggling for a while with enjoying yoke, not the construction, because actually knitting yokes is really, really fun, but how they fit. And there's two yoke jumpers that surprised me and changed my mind, and that's this one, and I'll show the other one next, because I really like the way this fits. So I'm not adverse to yokes again, but for quite a while, as you might have guessed, I really loved a drop shoulder and kind of preferred that. I felt like I had a lot more ease of being able to modify it to fit me exactly, and I do think it's really worth, if you are a knitter and you're scared of knitting things for yourself. I think it's an incredible skill to learn. So much easier than grading for 10 different sizes or 20 different sizes, and making something fit yourself is a fairly easy skill to learn. And there's so many good videos on YouTube of people explaining how to do that. But I feel like it's a lot easier to modify a drop shoulder to start with, and maybe that's why. I can quite easily modify yokes, but it was not something I wanted to do previously, because most of the point of me ever knitting a yoke jumper, I don't think I've knitted many that don't have either texture or colourwork in, so I wanted the texture, so why would I get rid of it? Because generally that's where it is. It's usually too long and then it's connected too low, and then it's like, whoo. So yes, all that to say, this and the other jumper that I'll show you next changed my mind on yokes. I really like this. The only modification I think I did was to knit the sleeves slightly shorter and to omit all of the decreases. I will say it has pilled a lot more than I anticipated, and I think that's because it's a very bouncy yarn and it feels lovely for that, but I don't think it's very tightly spun, so. And some of that is just texture, that's not all pilling, but that is a bit of a shame because it's a beautiful yarn and it's quite a pricey yarn, so if I was to use this again, I would probably knit it at a denser gauge, and I'm surprised that it hasn't done quite the same on the Soldotna, because this is the same yarn. But yeah, I really like this jumper. It does feel very soft and luxurious, and yeah, I think that's it on this. We'll get on to the other yoke that also made me go, yes. And then maybe I'll try and dig through the pile and do yokes that maybe made me go a bit more no. Though I have got rid of most of them. This is one of my favourite jumpers. The combination of everything. So the pattern is the Arachne, and if I remember correctly, it's by Sutherland, who unfortunately is no longer selling her patterns anymore. I know I've had 2 people message me asking what they should do, and if I'm honest, I've spoken to a few people and our general consensus was see if you can get hold of Andy, but she's taking it down for a reason, and I don't know. It's a bit of a shame because this is one of the coolest patterns that I've ever knitted, and this surprised me because not only is it a yoked jumper, but it is a yoked jumper without short rows. So there's no short row shaping, and I think my posture, my body, this is fine for me. Other people might need to add short rows, but I love this jumper. I did some accidental modifications in that I ended up doing the chart longer than it should have been. I did slightly different charts. I think I was so excited about casting on that I just didn't read the pattern properly, but it worked out. But let's remind each other, read the pattern properly. It's done that way for a reason. But I still love it. I knitted this using Hobby's Evergreen, which is 100% organic wool, and it is gorgeous. It is for a sort of large commercial brand. It's on the bit of the pricey side, but it's no different to buying a mohair. It's £9 for 50 grams. You get quite a lot of yardage, and what I would say is I knit this, you get a fingering weight yardage, but I knit this on a 3.75mm needle, which for me is closer to a DK or a sport weight, and it's beautiful. It has lasted so well. Like, this is just fluff from other things, but there's a lot of fluff on there. Like, other than collecting fluff from Miss Fluffy over here, it's a weird name, the stitch definition's beautiful on it. The yarn itself has kept. The yarn I used in the yoke was, I think it was the colourway Jasmine on Woolly Mammoth Fibre Co's. Lovely Emma. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. Jasmine colourway on Natural Sock, and then the mohair is Fog by Lovely River, who is a Knitter's Homestead, on her mohair base. So this overall is very special to me. It's organic, it's Woolly Mammoth yarn, which is incredibly, I feel very lucky to be able to have used it. I don't undervalue or not acknowledge how special it is and how, luxurious it is to be able to dabble in using a yarn like that from time to time. And Lovely River sent me the mohair in a swap we did. So again, overall this is just like a big woolly hug, and I will go on about it for far too long, so I apologise, but this is one of my favourite jumpers. The modifications I did were just to knit the sleeves straight down. I didn't do any shaping, and then do a quick decrease and some ribbing. That's the modification on the sleeve, but I love the way it sort of balloons, but like bell sleeve, just a little balloony vibe. Bishop sleeve, I think. I always say the wrong word, but that's just me. And then I also did ladder ladder back jacquard, which is a technique I use quite often, especially when I'm dealing with longer floats in colour work, because it means you're not having to worry about catching stitches. It's worth just watching a video if you're interested in using the technique, and I'll put the link in the video in the description. But you're essentially creating a purl stitch which creates another layer of knitting at the back of your work. Magic, you don't have to do anything apart from pick up a stitch and purl it and then keep going, and then when you're finished with it you just decrease it out and it's gone, and you've got this lovely ability to do these long floats without stress. And I think that there's a few moments where you can notice it. I think here, if I was that worried, I could give it a little tug and make it sit right, but considering how high contrast this is, yeah, one of my favourites. We'll move on to something else now. Forgot how squeaky this chair was. I should have got Alex's drum stool again. This is the Ranunculus by Midori Hirose that has been knitted by so many knitters. And I'm in two minds because I really love it, and I don't have the mohair versions with me. In my head they're not jumper versions, so they're upstairs. And even the long sleeve tops that I've got I haven't brought down. So this really is just mostly jumpers and cardigans. So I will go through and do an updated version of my summer tops and knitted tops very soon too. I think I'll do it when spring is in the air so that we can all get inspired about knitting for summer together, if that's cool. Yes, so this is, I really like the pattern, but actually I'm not wearing it as much as I used to, and I think that's lots of reasons. I tend to wear them in the summer because, as you can see, it's so wide and oversized on me. There's quite a low neckline, which I do really like. I knitted this one using Rowwork DK, which I talk about a lot. I haven't knitted with it a lot, but it really is one of my favourite yarns. It does pill, but once you clean it up, it looks as good as new. I just don't clean them up that often. I don't have an excuse or a reason, I just don't. I don't think I modified this at all. I think this sleeve option is an option. I maybe knit it, I think I knitted it as long as recommended, so I would knit it longer, and I would make it smaller if I was to do this again, which I think is what I did on the next version that I'll show you. And to do that I used a smaller needle size and knitted it at a tighter gauge essentially. It is a really fun pattern to knit. This yoke goes by so quickly because of the texture. It is a really nice, relaxing, moorish texture to knit. It makes a really good gift jumper because it is oversized. There's a bit less worry, and with the different options that are available, it's quite good. Midori has, since I knitted this the very first time, included a larger bust option, which I think is quite important. So the sizing is much better, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit less interested about cropped, oversized, textured yokes like this. I don't know, maybe it's because I just love my drop shoulder gauzy ones so much that I tend not to wear these quite as often. And I just think, I mean, it really does. So yeah, it's okay. I dress in a way that makes that okay, but it's but yeah, I still wear it. It's still like a sweatshirt to me. But that is how things change and thoughts change and reflections change. So that's interesting that actually putting this on today has made me go, yeah, I'm definitely not wearing this as much if I'm wearing a yoke. Yeah. So I do really like it. It's I'm like, a great, it's a cool pattern. I don't know, I haven't knit the Love Note, but as an option, that's quite a good one, as an alternative, but I do think they've both been knitted almost as much as each other at this point, which is wild. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit like wishy-washy on this one now. Even though I do still wear it. And I've put this one on, and I haven't put this on in a while. It's been at the bottom of my pile. Annoyingly, I've been like, oh, I'm not sure about this colour on me, and then I'm looking at us now, and I'm like, oh, actually this is a colour that I think suits me a lot. So I should get this one and put it a little bit higher up, because I like a black and pink combination quite a lot. I just haven't had one to hand, and now I'm like, oh, okay. And the fit of this is so much nicer. It is way less oversized. It doesn't lift up nearly as high. The yarn has lasted so beautifully. I did initially wear this jumper absolutely buttloads. I think if you've been here for a while, you will have seen me in many videos and many adventures wearing this. So I think this is going to be added back into my more consistent pile, if you will. And this is knitted using Whistlebear yarn, one of my favourite yarns, not only because it feels very special because I've been to the farm multiple times, I've helped shear the goats, we love mohair, but I just think the way it's made, in that Alice cares so dang much about her animals, she's looked after them so well, and she's very conscious about the yarn. It's just incredibly special and incredibly covered in my hair. So this was knitted using on the 4-ply version of the bases, the Yevering Bell, which is a Wensleydale mohair blend, and the Cheviot Marsh, which is a Romney Marsh and Cheviot blend. But both 4-ply, you get about 350 meters. Alice does her yarn by meterage rather than weight, so it's good to know. Alice is based in Northumberland in the United Kingdom, and I love it. So I think this was cherry mallow and something else, but I really love this jumper. I don't know why I haven't been wearing it that much. I think I'm gonna have another pink phase. Yes, so much prefer this knitted at slightly denser gauge to get a better fit for me. I think having tried that one on, I would have gone, nah, I don't think I would knit this again. Tried this one on, I'm going, yeah, I would like to knit this again. Not now, though I do have some linen. Did I do a black linen version for summer? Yes. So this is why it's important for me, and why it is quite nice seeing so many other knitters, podcasters creating like roundup videos, because it's a time to reflect and hopefully help others think about their making before they're making it, you know? So we're not all having to suffer the moments. See, I could, and part of me is like, maybe I could rip this out. And I could, and I'm thinking about it. I might give it till through the summer, because I know that I wear this one a lot. Generally in the summer it goes in my bag and it's one of those, but I don't know if, yeah, I'm going to give it over the summer, and if not, next autumn this is going to get turned into maybe just a denser version of it itself. But this yarn is too special to be kind of going, So yeah. This has got another thumbs up again. Have you ever had your colours done? I haven't. And I don't think that I would be too heavily influenced. But I tell you what, I'm really curious and I'd love to know. Because I always thought about colours and eye colour being so important. For one, my pupils are mostly very heavily dilated. They just are, always has been. You know, I went to the opticians, so you know. Of course you know about my optician's visit. But I had a thing that I needed to have checked out. I won't talk about it, but they were like, we need to put drops in to dilate your pupils. So I was like, no thank you, if I can help it, because I'm here on my own and I need to get home. I wish that was included in my letter. Anyway, I ended up having a chat. The assistant was like, absolutely not, you need to have the drops. And then I was like, please ask the optician. And she was like, yeah, we'll have a quick look and then you can come in for your appointment. She looked and went, oh yeah, you're fine. We don't need to put the drops in. But all that to say is the outside of my eyes are such a different colour to the centre, and it's because I've got a thing, you know, where people have two different coloured eyes. I found out the name of it, I can't remember what it's called, but I've got that in the centre of each pupil. So my eye colour isn't necessarily my eye colour. So the outsides are like quite a turquoisey green, I don't know, a bit wishy-washy. And then the insides are like quite a yellowy, browny colour. So that always confused me. Anyway. This one is another one in my love pile, and I didn't anticipate it being quite so in my love pile. I knit a version of this jumper not that long into first started knitting, so like as soon as it was released, and I think I knit it in merino singles, which is not my vibe at all. They just don't last in my wardrobe. I will knit with them from time to time, but they have to be, it's just not the best idea. I do better having yak in the singles and it will last a lot better. But merino singles generally don't last for me, so that was a bad idea anyway. And I knit it in like a peachy colour with green for the contrast. But I came back to this quite a long time after giving the other one away. And this is the Nordiska by Caitlin Hunter. And I think this was one of my first finished spin projects, this green, light green colour. And I think what happened was, as I was looking in my library for what garments I could knit and show off and use every inch I could of my handspun, and I ended up sending all of the rest, which was a lot more than I anticipated, off to a dear friend who, Dimmy, I must catch up with you. Oh, that was 4 pills, that's it. 2 pills on that side. And yeah, so I looked in my wool pantry and I found, what was the contrast? It was just this mustard colour, which is Harvest from Woolly Knit, the 100% British wool cone, which I thought paired beautifully, and actually even now I'm like, yeah, this is a good combination. And then this is just Holst Super Soft. And this bloomed lovely. I had never used it before, I don't think, at the time. You can't see the cable details very well, but there is cable details down the raglan. So this is a raglan V-neck construction. Very cool. I'll see if I can show you. No. Oh, there. Oh, you can see all the fluff. I need to be watched and supervised. Yes, so it does have cable details down the raglans. I really like the fit of this. I would quite like to knit it again. I don't need to, like I said. I wear this one a lot. I have a black oversized dress. I wear it with this. And generally I'll wear this with my cowl if it's really cold and my Tulk cardigan over the top, and it's like the perfect cozy outfit. Yeah, it's lasted quite well. I say quite well, a lot better than I thought. I was worried that my handspun was just gonna spring open and go nope, but it's lasting really well. And I actually really like the V. I think I generally need to stop squeaking. I think that Caitlin Hunter patterns I generally do better knitting at a slightly denser gauge and going up a size. And I think that's again what I did on this one. That just seems to be where I get the best fitting items, which took me a long time of figuring out. I have passed on quite a lot of my Caitlin Hunter knits, but now I'm in a happy place. I don't know that I've purchased a Caitlin Hunter pattern for quite some time. I have enough in my library to not feel like I need to. I've got one more, I think, that I'll share with you. Yeah, we'll complete the Caitlin Hunter saga, but yeah, like I said, black with a bit of a pop of colour is like, and this is that. Yeah, I think because of the cable in the raglan, that made me knit this yoke part of this quite quickly. And then you're very quickly onto the colour work, which is super Moorish colour work. So it is a nice one if you're someone that maybe needs something more stimulating than just stockinette. This is quite a good option. Do you know I've just spotted another Vapu? Anyway, we'll come back to that after we've completed Hunter Saga. That would be quite fun, wouldn't it? As a series, Hunter Saga. Oh, I haven't worn this in ages, and now I'm probably gonna be going, why? Yeah, I really like this. I put this one at the bottom of the pile in my wardrobe, and I don't know. I don't know why. I putting it on. I really like the fit. It is a little bit classic yokey for me. Like, I don't know, but not not badly so, and it fits nicely under coats and things. So it is a yoke construction. There is texture in here as well as colour work, which makes it a really, really fun knit. I would like to knit this again for someone else. I do not need another one, but I really would. I can't remember the main colour fingering weight yarn, but the lace is Pigeon Fancier by Stranded Dye Works. Gorgeous colourway. And this was the same as in my Arachne. So this is Woolly Mammoth Fibre Co's natural sock base with, I don't think this is the Jasmine colourway, but maybe it is, held with Fog by A Knitter's Homestead on the mohair base. So this gorgeous combination, really fun knit. I don't think I did any modifications. I left the pattern well alone. I like that the sleeves are a bit shorter. I say this a lot. I'm first of all mucky pup, and second of all always using my hands, so having things, I like some jumpers to be long. I like to have that option. Sorry, mohair everywhere. Mohair everywhere. So I quite like to have some where my wrists are free and I can easily push up the sleeves and wash up without soggy sleeves. Yeah, don't know why I've not been wearing this very much, but we're going to add it back into the wheelhouse, and if this doesn't get worn next winter, I'm going to give it that long. Then this one will be one that I pass forward. Because it is in such nice condition, the mohair has held up amazingly. Mohair doesn't tend to felt. I don't know if you know that, but it just doesn't. I think you could probably get it to, but it'd take a lot of work. Yeah, but I think it should be passed forward if I'm not going to wear it, but I do think it's beautiful. So, and this is the Koivua, Koivua by Caitlin Hunter. Yeah, I think I need to tinkle and eat a snack. I didn't realise this. We're an hour and a half in for me. So, see you in a sec. If you need a pee break too, feel free to take one. At any point ever, this is a no pressure zone. I hope you have noticed that already. You're amazing. I recorded for 10 minutes without pressing the button. However, I managed to have a hobnob. It's not satiating enough, but the oven is making such a noise that I can't record while my lunch heats up. I have last night's leftovers of a sort of Indian spiced cottage pie, a lentil and dal cottage pie. Just very delicious, but the oven's making too much noise. And yeah, this is another Vapu that I found, so I thought we'd go through that quickly. Here it is. I apologise, this yarn is one of the softest, most gorgeous yarns I've ever knitted with, and I still don't know what it's called. It was sent to me by a lovely lady named Maud, and I've had quite a few discussions. I'll see if I can find the thing that I sent, so that a couple of people that asked me, and I will try and find the information that I had found that I sent them. I do know that it's 70% lamb's wool and 30% Angora. It is ridiculously soft. Like, if you could wear extra thick double cream, that's how it feels. It's like a Rex bunny rabbit or an Angora bunny. Like, it feels so good. It goes everywhere. Like, I know that I'm currently eating some and I can see it flying around in the air. So I don't tend to wear it when I'm wearing black. I do tend to wear it in the summer, kind of for that reason, because I tend to dress fairly sensibly in that I do tend to wear a lot more lighter colours in the summer if it's too hot. This was a modified version of the Vapu. I think I made it smaller and then also knit it at a much denser gauge. But yeah, this is a soft hug and I just want to stay wearing it now because it's so soft. I know, I'll put a cardigan over the top. I don't think there's much else I can say. It peels. I don't know what the yarn is. But the Vapu, a very knittable pattern and very easy to make adjustments in that, having like a big oversized one, a nice fitted one. A good base for creating your own raglan, drop shoulder jumper if you want it. This was a improvised item and I used a Peruvian Highland DK base and a mohair held together. Both yarns that I dyed myself. One of my favourite colours, and I wish I wrote it down because I would like to wear a lot more of this. And I think this was a half fisherman's rib. I don't think it was brioche, but maybe it was. It has a few bits of pilling. I would use this combination again. The stitch definition on it is gorgeous, I think. I wouldn't say it's the best fitting item. It could do with extra length at the back. I'm not sure about the edges either. I think I wanted to do it longer, but I just used every single scrap I had of this yarn. So it kind of is what it is. But a great cardigan. I wear this quite a lot. Again, massively good for layering. I've got some one oversized black dress that I wear all the time. It's got some buttons down it on the skirt area, and I've got a kind of fitted high neck bodycon dress that I wear loads, and with an extra jumper and one of these cardigans on top. It is cozy. So I do wear this a fair amount. Like I said, it has got a bit of pilling to it, but not much. And these ones just, you can pick them off quite easily and it looks as good as new. Yeah, I'm sure there are patterns out there available that look similar to this and probably have some slightly better shaping options. So yeah, I quite like it. It's lasted. I think I wear my 2 black cardigans more, and I think that is the shape more than anything. So there's part of me thinking I could pick this out and knit a Tulk using it. I could weigh it and get an idea of how much. I think it was about 2 skeins of DK, which doesn't seem enough. So I don't know why I tried to do it, but yeah, part of me is like, maybe I should try and reknit this. But I do like it, and I think I love the sleeves in particular. So yeah, that's that one. Because apparently I don't want to take this jumper off just yet. This has seen some changes. And I don't think I'd recommend the pattern. It's a bit confusing, even for someone that's knitted quite a bit, I think, at the time. This is what I wore for Alex and my own wedding. It was knitted using sage green mohair from Drops. Don't know if I'm doing this the right way today, but there you go. And it is the Wrap Me Up cardigan. Blown out nicely. It's the Wrap Me Up cardigan, and I ended up knitting the smallest size. I also ended up sewing up the shoulders to make it fit me a lot nicer after the fact. I added elastic into the sleeves and the body, so I'll show you it. And I still have to say, I don't think this is for me. I think I should pass this on. I think one of my friends would really like it. I did accidentally over dye this and one other jumper, which I will share next, just because that makes sense. I put this in a wash with a Dylon black rinse because Alex and myself both had quite a lot of items that needed refreshing so that we could get a lot more wear out of them. I ended up putting two jumpers in there by accident. That happens. And this was one of them, and it came out a sort of a mossy browny green. There are a few patches that have stayed a little bit more sagey, but I do really like it. However, it did go in a 40-degree wash at quite a high spin too. And you can see it's sort of slightly felted, but mohair is excellent. And I really wish that this suited me, and part of me is like, maybe I could unpick the yarn, but I think that's a battle that's just not worth fighting, because especially where I've sewn up the shoulders. But I know that there's other wrap cardigans out there and available, but yeah, for some reason this pattern, this chaos, and I think it could also be that it just doesn't suit me. So I don't think it suits me. I don't feel comfortable in it. It doesn't fit right. I don't know what it is about it, but I really like the colour now, so I'm a bit sad. But yeah, I don't think I modified the pattern. It used mohair held triple. I think you could get away with just using other yarns and doing a strand of mohair for this sort of thing, really. It does seem a bit extra. But yeah, bit of a shame. So this was the other one that sadly got put in the wash, and first of all, 100% wool, 40-degree wash. It's come out surprisingly fine. The issue is that it was not visible in this wash load, so it has not dyed evenly. So I'm going to put this in both, well, not that one. I'm going to put this one in another dye lot. I might do it differently. I'll do it by hand. It was just the fact that it was jeans and things that I had never done it any other way other than the method in the washing machine. So I didn't want to try, but I think I might. But I'm going to over dye this again because I love it. It is one of my favourite jumpers. The cable structure on the neck. This is called the Braids of Grass by Albion and McLaughlin. I love it. The hem and the cuff details too of the cable. I don't know, it's like Victorian but not, and modern but not. And it was this sort of ashy colour from, I can't remember what it was called. It had a Lord of the Rings name, and it is Shropshire DK by You Imply. A really gorgeous yarn, and I couldn't believe it was £5 for a 100 gram skein of DK weight yarn that they'd had spun themselves. dangerously affordable. That was when it was on sale. I'm not sure what the price is normally, but it's a gorgeous yarn. Not for, I don't think it's scratchy, but it has a bit of tooth to it. It's definitely a woolly wool. Yeah, and I'm definitely going to over dye it again to get it to a point that I'm going to wear it more, because I love it. It's such a shame that it got, but I'm glad that it didn't felt and end up the size of my teddy bear, as some items do. Yeah, really nice pattern to knit. This yoke was incredibly fun and very quick. Because it was in DK, again, it was speedy to knit. I think I even, as you can see, knit the arms a bit longer than I normally would, but I quite like this one for that. I didn't modify it in any way. I knit it to pattern, and I would 100% knit it again given an excuse to. But hopefully we can get this to the right, or a single shade ish, and we won't need to knit it again. But a lovely pattern, I say it. Albion seems to me take a lot of care in the little details, and it does show. This one is the Soiree by Emily Foden from one of my favourite knitting publications, Knits About Winter. The articles or essays in there about Emily, well, that Emily wrote about how she went about coming up with the colour ways and things is really nice, but also all of the patterns in there are kind of my cup of tea. I modified this one to be a lot smaller. I used a fingering weight yarn held with a mohair and went down, I think, a few needle sizes. This was one of my first jumpers. I really love it. It was also one of the first items that I used, mohair? I think that's the Angora, that used an indie dyed yarn. So it is Coop Knit Sock, yeah, in Melantite, I believe, as the main colour, and then the mohair is Spectrum Fibres mohair on the smoke colourway, and I love the pairing. Maybe not now in my sort of traditional wheelhouse, but again, I think it's a colour that, frustratingly or not, suits me. I think I'm a cool, and yeah, I love the cable details and the placement of the cables. I say I would love to knit this again. I have gone to knit this 3 times, and every time I've gone to knit it in a alpaca, but a spun alpaca, not a brushed fluffy alpaca, and I think that's where it just doesn't work for me. I think I would like to knit it again in a more woolly, toothy yarn at a larger size. I think it will be a wonderful staple in my wardrobe. But do I need another drop shoulder in my... Probably not. It is a drop shoulder construction. However, it is from the bottom up, which not many of the jumpers I've knitted here are. I don't mind either method. I think both's fine. I'm not intimidated by that. What else? So other than adjusting the size, I don't think I modified it really in any other way. Yeah, one of my first items, and I still cherish it and love it quite a lot. This is an interesting one because this is one that I threatened to get rid of a couple of times or rip out and start again. And last time I did a version of this video, I tried it on with this dress and I was like, this works. This is the thing. This is how I should wear it. And I have worn it a couple of times, still not as many times as I would have liked. And I'm not entirely sure. I think maybe it's just orange, but I used to wear orange loads, so that's not really the thing. I don't know. But I think it fits me beautifully. It's one of my, you know, if you were going to construct something, this is, I've designed it for me and made it fit me. This is a improvised jumper. It has a little rolled hem detail, and it was a yoke, so the increases are sort of kind of hidden in here. I think like it doesn't move. It is like perfectly fitting, so I should wear it more. I love the slight colourwork detail on the bottom. So I'm going to say it again, I'm going to wear this more. I'm going to do it. It's kind of the perfect weather for it too now, with a cardigan over the top. I need to stop moving too much. I'm going to have a nightmare editing otherwise. I used La Bien-Aimée. I think it was their sock base. I can't remember what the grey colourway is, but the orange is a rust colour. It was a mini, and I used up every last bit in this. And then the mohair is the rust colour too. So you've got sort of a mild effect and then the pop. And I really like it. I just don't. And maybe it's just because it is piled underneath all of the other jumpers, and I do have too many. I think I'm at a point where I have too many, which is why I want to do this and talk about passing them on or remaking them, reknitting them. But yeah, I do really like this one. Making stuff for yourself to fit yourself is a really good idea. Even if this isn't a good example of wearing it frequently, I think actually. And this is another improvised item, so we'll talk about that quickly. This is meant to be a very grungy item, and it might go to a dear friend who should have that wrap cardigan too. But I wear this quite a lot, mostly as a warming layer. I do wear it out, but I'll show you it. This was knitted using Bichet Bush in the blue-green colour, which definitely reads a lot more green to me. Held with some Nutiden in parts. That was a lovely gift from Mary of Merry Little Makes. I think these were Lucky Charms, like the little sort of remnant bits. And I just constructed it as you would a drop shoulder. I cast on the back, knit back and forth, picked up for the shoulders, increased for the neck, knitted, and then knitted it down in the round, and then picked up and did the collar and the ribbed bands. I really like it. It is grungy and very relaxed, which is kind of a thing that I really like. And yeah, I wear this quite a bit. It has lasted. I'm impressed with the Nutiden. I experienced so far that Nutidens generally are much more soft fibre than Plutalopi, which I've had a lot better finished results with for not pilling as bad. But this is doing all right. This is holding up, and again, it might be the addition of mohair. Can I go on about mohair anymore? Probably not. But yeah, I think that really helps give it strength. And I do really like it. It's just a weird, off-the-cuff, improvised item that I knitted. So this one is the Sulauru, I believe it's called, by Jenna K. And this is another one that I really love. I haven't worn it as much this year, and I'm not sure why. Again, I think it's just the sheer quantity and it's just put on the bottom, but it fits me beautifully. I love it. It doesn't lift up at all. The colour work is gorgeous. I didn't need to do any ladder back jacquard. I just knit it and it seemed to, even with the long floats, come out beautifully. And I didn't make any modifications. I knit this using Woolly Knits 100% British cone. Again, it's super affordable. I think it's like £20 for 500 grams or £22 for 500 grams. I don't find it to be overly scritchy or anything, and it does seem to get a bit softer with wear. Sorry, it's just really, it's tactile. And then this was, I'm gonna forget, Telespin, a Norwegian mohair, and I really love it. Again, this isn't brushed mohair and fluffy like you'd maybe be used to, but it's spun and I love the sheen you get with it. Yeah, it's lasted, it's held up. That's some other yarn. That's not actually this yarn. It's peeled a tiniest bit, but actually it's gorgeous. So there you go. I would knit this again in a heartbeat. I really love a drop shoulder construction. This is bottom up, so you get the pleasure of doing all this gorgeous colour work straight away, and then once you have done all the shaping and connected it, I think I used a 3 needle bind off, you just knit in some plain sleeves, and I think it was on fairly small needles, maybe 3mm, which seems to be a real sweet spot. I really enjoy a fingering weight jumper, but I haven't knit loads of them. Yeah, I really like it. It's lasted. I don't think I've got anything else I can add on that. Yeah, lovely, lovely pattern, lovely jumper. Lovely. This was a very heavily modified version of my Drop Dead Freddie that I showed before, and I used Handmaiden Fine Yarns Bulrush colourway on the silk mohair silk base, which is 125 grams. It was kindly gifted to me by my DM and one of my favourite knitting friends of all time, when she came to visit all the way from Canada. Yeah, I've written up my notes on the Ravelry project page for it. If you can't access Ravelry, send me a message and I'll do my best to email them over to you. And I'm saying it again just because I feel like I should, but instead of giving I increased by exactly this and that, I've given directions rather than direct instructions, if that makes sense, the difference. Because one method will not fit everyone, and you can then apply that technique to any jumper you like, rather than me giving away a pattern I worked on. Do you know what I mean? So if you prefer a raglan, you could turn that into a peplum like this. And I love it. These modifications, I was like, am I going to wear a peplum? I wear this loads. I love the way it comes in at my waist and flares a bit. I love these dramatic sleeves. I would love to knit this again. I think I might. I don't know if I have enough mohair in my wool pantry to do so, if I'm honest. But I just love it. It is more of a top than a jumper, but it is warm and lightweight, and yes. I would say that if your shoulders or your chest is larger than your waist by any, like even this is a bit silly. I should have just put an I-cord in here or something instead of maybe, so I bound off. Because I wanted to have structure, and I knew that it would fit me. I checked that as I went, that this was no smaller than my shoulders, and it's tiniest bit, but it stretches to be about bang on, so I can get it on comfortably. I can't rush getting it on and off, like I don't, but that is also because it's a single strand of mohair, and I'm Chaos Demon and have items like this that catch on everything. So if you're going to do something like this, I would suggest knitting an I-cord and weaving it in, or putting even a piece of elastic, but I didn't want elastic in it, and I'm happy with the outcome. Yeah, this is one of my favourite items, and I know it's annoying when things are shared that aren't a pattern, but I have put instructions and hopefully that helps, and I'm always happy to try and help, you know, troubleshoot or give you videos to help you get the item you're looking for. So don't be afraid to ask. But yeah, I love this so much, and I've been wearing it loads. I don't know how it ended up not in the slightly earlier stages. There are a few more jumpers that I'm not going to share, and some of that is just my own personal choice, not wanting to, or feeling like I shouldn't. So yeah, there are a few more, which is wild. This is the Bouquet sweater by Junko Okamoto. I must remember to stop moving and talking. This one I had to modify to get to fit. It is quite an oversized garment. I didn't want that much positive ease in it, so I opted to use fingering weight yarn held double for roughly a DK weight yarn, rather than a worsted weight which the pattern called for. Both of these are woolly knits, 100% British wool cones, making it quite affordable. I think this was like a light ash grey, something along those lines, and this was like a pine green. I do have, and I will note down the colours for you. Wow, I think we're getting to the point where we're winding down, we're ready to eat. I apologise if I've kept you here, and thank you if you have been here. I just know I'm being like a bit neggy about it. Neggy. I said that out loud. Negative. Anyway, I really love this technique of colour work. I had so much fun knitting it. Haven't worn it that much. This is one I think I would like to pay forward to someone. Yeah, I just haven't worn it that much, so I think I should. And the float forward thing is just visually beautiful. I adjusted it to have ladder back jacquard. So you can have these big long gaps between floats, and it doesn't notice. And all you're doing is creating a piece of fabric that sits at the back of the work, as I said, using pearl stitch. And I did that throughout the whole thing, so where you've got these big long gaps, you kind of can't notice. I didn't adjust it any other way. Woolly knit holds up really well. If you are looking for a woolly wool and you're based in the UK, this is a great alternative to something like Holst Super Soft, which is quite easy to get hold of and is softer than this, but for the price, 100% wool is very, very good. Yeah, I really like it. I just am not wearing it very much, so I think it's one that I should definitely pay forward. I know that you don't know, but I'm going to eat food, and hopefully I should be a bit more alive and kicking again. Do you remember that show if you're from the UK? Anyway, yeah, I'm going to go and eat my lunch quickly and then come back and finish this, because I think I'm starting to do the airy fairy I'm not grounded thing anymore. I've just had the most cloying food you can have. I had a dark chocolate peanut butter cup, which is a really great choice if you're going to talk on your own. And I've made myself a peppermint. My hands are like ice cubes. It is 13.5 degrees today in this house. So I have put the heating on. So hopefully I will warm up a bit shortly, but this is absolutely necessary. I didn't realise how cold I was getting even though I was just trying jumpers on. I feel like I'm just complaining a bit. I'm not. It's the vibe right now. I feel so much better for eating. I've also taken my hair out because it was catching and just getting more and more wild. Oh god, this is so good. I might even, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go fill up my hot water bottle. That is good. I didn't realise I was starting to like climb down to like a 5, maybe even a 4. I'm 8. I'm an 8 again. Maybe heading towards a 9. Warmth and hydration. I am apparently not putting these down if I can help it. I have to say, wearing the Icelandic wool is immediately helping too. I'm definitely warming up and defrost my brain. This one is the Traister by Jennifer Steingass. I don't think this has got short row shaping again, but it does have waist shaping. So it comes in a little bit at the waist and goes out again, I think. I didn't modify it. This was one of the first jumpers I ever knitted. One of my first ever jumper was a colourwork jumper, which I'll share soon. But this was the one where I had to use 3 colours at a time. Again, it wasn't that, I didn't find it even that difficult. It was just more time consuming, no more challenging. I really like it still. I think the fit is wonderful. Would I pick these colours now? Maybe not, but do I think they're bad? No. The yarn itself, the Icelandic yarn, it is just lasting. I don't imagine ever getting rid of these jumpers. They are just going to keep on living, and if I get to a point where I'm not wearing them at all, I've got quite a few people, I think, in my life that I can give these to, fairly similar size to me, and apparently a lot of friends with kids whose kids are now as big as me, so I can also hopefully do that for some of the items that don't last. But these will, I think they're quite classic. I also quite like wearing these sort of jumpers if I have a day where I kind of want to do a 40s outfit. I feel like I never do 100% accurate anything. I just do whatever I feel like's my take on it. But I have some jeans from a company called Freddy's of Pinewood, which are like a reproduction company. Reproduction? Wink. Reproduction company. And they are some of my favourite trousers. I've had a few pairs of them. I had one pair that were cropped and I didn't like them because they were cropped and they looked a bit funny on me. I had another pair that, both of them I bought, those 2 pairs I bought second hand, but the second pair were like really, really faded and they just needed a new lease of life, so I gave them to a friend who was going to over-dye them. But then the pair that I have now were a new pair that I bought in a sale a long time ago, and I've worn them for like classic car events and when I used to run my mobile coffee business, and I just dressed in a 1940s, 50s-esque manner. They were perfect, and I think they're really good, all that to say, with this sort of jumper tucked in. It kind of reads like 40s garage-esque with my docs, but I haven't done that loads recently, but I think I might. Feeling inspired. I don't know why it reads that way, but I think it's just because it's a style of jumper that's been around for so long. And yeah. But yeah, I don't know why that waffle was that waffle, but it was that waffle. Thank you for waffling with me. Yeah, I think now I've got this on, I'm like, I'm not ready to take it off. I actually am enjoying it more than I remembered. So here we are. This is also a jumper that I wear all the time. I've worn both times that I've helped shearing the goats. It is such a good warm layer. And I can feel the benefit already. So let's just keep layers on. I'm gonna put this over my head. So the Eastwind jacket is one of my favourite things I've ever knitted. It is another item from Emily Foden's Knits About Winter. I purchased the yarn for this quite quickly after purchasing the book, and then, I don't know, I think I got a bit nervous about knitting it, so it took me a while to cast on. I used Drops Ash Grey Mohair and West Yorkshire Spinners Jacob Fleece and their DK base, and I think this is just the mid grey with the contrast colour that's on the end being the light grey. The combination of yarns is something that I love. It's so hard wearing. Both the Jacob is a strong, sturdy yarn. It's spun beautifully to be long lasting. Mohair, it's mohair. And I think knitting both of them with 4mm needles from memory is great. If you knitted it even denser, I think it would be even warmer and last even longer. I ended up having to sew the shoulders up a bit because I wasn't happy with how they fitted. I would love to knit this again, but I don't need to. I ended up changing the toggles last year, or yeah, at the end of last year, for slightly smaller ones. These were from Lilliput White. I much prefer them, and I redid the chain so it all fits a bit nicer. It's still a little bit wonky, but that's just me. Yeah, beautiful piece. I think if I was to do it again, I would follow Emily's modifications. I think she did some on her posted them on her Ravelry page that just made things a bit better fitting. But I wear this thing so much. It is like a coat layer. It's fairly heavy, but for a coat layer, I can fit so much knitwear underneath this that you literally just could never, you could be warm forever if you wanted. Yeah, really happy. I love the pocketses. The Hobbitses pocketses. Yeah, I think it is knit in pieces and then seamed. My seaming was questionable. And I think what happened is I spent quite a while on this, and then I got quite unwell and ended up putting lots of time into it, like over a couple of weeks. And I think I ended up seaming it while I was a bit tired and delirious, and it was quite dark. So not my best craftsmanship, but I still love it. And the way you do the seams is that the seam's on show. So you could very easily do it the other way around. I think it's a 3 needle bind off, and then you wouldn't see the seam anyway. Yes, baby. Yeah. So this is one of my favourite knits. And comfy cozy. I should wear it in the house more again. I think I'll be putting it back on as soon as I'm finished recording, because that little cocoon of warmth. I put this one on the other day and Alex said, "Where did that come from?" And I was like, "I knitted it." He was like, "You knitted that?" So that's slightly, something. So this one is the By the Campfire by Rachel Isley, or Unwind Knitwear. This is an item that I really love. I just need to figure out one thing, and that is why it keeps folding back on itself. I think I need to do some more ribbing, and it's a shame because I don't have any more of this yarn. I might, part of me is like, maybe I should just use, I can't remember what it's called. Basically, I should just sew the ribbing to the opposite side and just not have ribbing as a way of mitigating that. I do tend to just pin it, but even then the end of it rolls back. So I'm not sure, because I really love the colour work. I think it's gorgeous. It definitely makes me want to cozy up, and the way it fits is so relaxed that I do wear it in the house a lot. I just don't wear it out. It is a bit impractical for wearing out under layers, but over layers it's great. Like, as you can see, I can wear this and many more layers without any issue at all. And it is fine with a shawl pin, but I think that's something I really want to maybe actually sort out today, or like this week, so that I'm not putting it back into my wardrobe unperfect. I don't know if adding more ribbing is going to be the better option, or just sewing it down, but that's something that I really want to fix, and I imagine that's something to do with me. I don't imagine it's something to do with Rachel's pattern, but I loved knitting this. This was knit from cuff to cuff and steeked, so there was no purling, which I'm not adverse to, but purling colour work is not really my joy. Again, this was knitted using Jacob DK, and I think one of the colours, I think it was this brown, is BFL, not Jacob. So they're all West Yorkshire Spinners DK bases, and they're fairly affordable. I think they were about £6 for 100 grams, roughly, when I purchased this. It might have gone up at this point, but a really gorgeous item. I wanted to knit the summer version of this that I did purchase off of Rachel. However, I don't love mosaic knitting. I didn't realise that until I tried it. I don't love it. But if I ever wanted to do another one of these, I would happily let myself do so, because it is gorgeous. I just need to figure out if I need to add more ribbing, or because otherwise I'll just wear it loads. I love, like, I even love the shaping over the hip. I don't know if you got to see that. Like, so we'll see about that one. We're getting towards the end. Thank goodness we're saying. I don't want to take my layers off. This is the Boscular by one of my favourite humans and designers, Marina Skewer of the Marina Skewer podcast. I love this jumper. This is yarn that was from as close to my home as you could possibly get, 5 miles down the road, and we had spun. I have a little bit of it left. But this is very special, both because it's Marina's pattern and for the yarn. And yeah, I really like it. I remember casting on and then chatting with Marina and then thinking that I'd made a big boo-boo and having to realign it. But it turns out it was sort of in the pattern and Marina fixed that almost immediately. And I tell you what, Marina's patterns are very, very beautifully written. The way she wrote the German short rows in this, I was like, oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. And I'm not sure why I hadn't seen it written like that way before, and I can't remember, from memory, I can't remember what made it different, but I would just remember being like, yes. And then when I had finished it, someone said that it reminded them of like death metal band logos, and then that made me fall in love with this even more. Yeah, this is a slightly odd curveball for me because it's quite light, but I love it. And part of me wants to over dye it and make it just a little bit deeper, a little bit darker. But because I can't decide what colour it should be, it's staying. I wear this with black jeans quite a bit. And yeah, I really like it. The yarn's lasted quite well. I like the shape of it a lot. I did go for shorter sleeves, again, as we discussed, and I think Marina's the same actually. She often says she doesn't like to get, in particular, soggy sleeves, which is one of the most miserable things you can get. Yeah, I really like it. It's lasted. It's a yoke design. It is a well-fitting yoke. There's, like I said, there's short rows in the back. Yeah. I think that's it on that one. I also had my bit of paper that has like prompts, and I don't know where it's gone. It's clearly under some jumpers. I wasn't going to share this, and there's 2 more items I think I'm going to share, but I think this is a really useful item that I'm surprised about. So I was working on a historical knits project, and I still hope to pick that up. Like I said, I've got 4 or 5 finished objects, including this one, that have a lot bigger story than I can tell in just this little segment. But this I put away and put in a box down here, which I haven't worn because I've been saving them to talk about and haven't done it. And I don't know why there's like a kryptonite there, but we'll move through that. But this was knitted using yak silk merino singles yak silk singles from my lovely friend Hannah, who hand dyed this herself. And it was knitted in pieces using a garter stitch and some ribbing. And it is a vintage pattern, and I'll try and put that in the link below. If not, I will 100% find it for when I do a whole video talking about this. But the reason I wanted to share it now is more because it is such a useful base layer. So it has these little yarn over loops, and I normally have ribbon, which I don't know where it's gone. I think chances are I've taken it off and Audrey's played with it. But it has a ribbon that comes through here and a ribbon that comes through just before the ribbing at the waist. and you just tie it up, and it is the most lightweight layer, and much like the mesh, but maybe even more beneficial, it is so warm and so soft against your skin that if you're someone that is uncomfortable with Icelandic wool but really wants to use it, or has a favourite jumper in the wardrobe that you haven't been able to use because maybe the neck's quite high and you just don't like that feeling against your skin, maybe knitting a base layer like this for both warmth and for that. Like, if you start to get hot during the day, you won't get any of that prickly. It's just a really handy piece to have in your wardrobe, I think. So I've worn this quite a lot in the winter this year. I didn't think about wearing it prior, and I will just ribbon it up, and it adds so much warmth for not, like, next to no weight at all. Yes, so this is based on a Spencer, and because it is a vintage pattern, I feel like if you can get hold of them in your size, I'm quite fortunate that they tend to be too large for me, and I can knit them at a smaller gauge and kind of do mostly to pattern. But I also have no problems making stuff to just fit me using inspiration from a pattern. So yeah, I just really like it, and I think it's a good thing to mention, you know, if you have a special skein of or two of yak in your wall pantry and you're like, I don't know what to do with it, and like, I don't know, I just think it's a really, really, really handy piece, and I had to share about it even if it doesn't quite fit the bill, you know. And actually this is another one, so I'm going to keep it on. But I've been wearing these two together under just normal hoodies and normal jumpers because the added warmth is nuts, and I don't feel like I'm wearing loads of clothing. I don't feel heavy, I don't feel bulky in it. But this is the Cherry from Knit Midori Cafe or Midori Hirose. This is, I showed it to Alex the other day and he's like, yeah, I don't really like that. Well, that's fine. And I think he meant the colour. And it is a yarn that I over-dyed. It was a Coral Drops silk alpaca. I really like it. I like the way it's over-dyed. It does have colour work, but it's almost so close that you can't tell. Oh, did I wake you up? I do have another version of this, but it's a lot smaller, therefore for some reason it sits in the tops pile, not the jumper pile. But yeah, it's not, like, you can tell it's not all over one colour. I actually really like the colour, but I don't know. I do wear it, like I said, I just combine this because these sleeves go so tiny because they are just alpaca. I just put another jumper over the top and I am cozy. And then if I put my Eastwind jacket over the top, super cozy. If I put my unarmoured defence cowl on and a hat, I don't need a coat. I'm basically a sheep. Which should just be the title of this video, right? I'm basically a sheep. Yes, so this pattern is an interesting one. It can be knitted from lace weight all the way through to worsted. It is constructed using short rows. It's constructed using yoke with raglan increases afterwards. So you knit a yoke and then continue with raglan increases. It's an oversized fit. It comes with 3, if I remember rightly, different sleeve constructions, which are all really nice. I personally prefer the long bell sleevey vibes, but there is that's more of a bell sleeve. Can't remember, bishop sleeve. We're at the end. We're at the end. But I really like this style of sleeve. These ones I did do long. When I knitted it, I wanted this big, oversized, floofy thing, and it is exactly that. I feel like a witch in it, the witch is what I love it. You can tell it's aged quite a lot, just like all the other alpaca has, but I still wear it quite a lot. I do like the way alpaca feels. I'm not against alpaca. I just think that with the way I personally wear clothes, mohair makes sense because it lasts longer for me. I would knit the cherry again, but I don't feel like I need another one in my wardrobe just yet. In fact, I have two more. I have a black one that has quite fun coloured little dots on, and I have another one that is like a light blue with light grey dots on. It is a great pattern if you're someone that does like to knit with lace weight but also likes thicker, warmer jumpers. It's quite a nice pattern to have in your kind of pattern library to be able to draw inspiration from, and you could omit the colour work, you could add your own colour work. Like, it's quite versatile. That's what I'm going for. And then finally, we'll talk about the Blondie cardigan, because it's the last one in this box. I feel like there's more, but it's the last one in the box. And I'm just layering it up now. This is not the right cardigan. Get a woolly blanket for the last bit. This one is the Blondie cardigan by Amy Appel, who is also known as Poison Girls. Amy does vintage inspired garments. I think Amy's shaping in particular is really, really good. The constructions generally are quite interesting to me. So like when I knit Amy's patterns, I'm often thinking like, just trust the band. That reminds me, I've got one of her Christmas jumpers upstairs, but that's upstairs, and this is the last jumper. we will do like festive jumpers in the future, and if I wear it on here, I'll share it again. But it's a good jumper. It's a really lovely pattern. But we're talking about Amy generally. Beautiful shaping. Her beauty school jumper was a really nice jumper to knit. I'd love to knit a new one of those. I sent my last one off to lovely Janika, who modified it and made it fit her perfectly, which makes me very happy. She actually used yarn that I purchased in Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken. And then I brought it back to the UK, knitted it, and then sent it to Amsterdam, which is quite cool. This one was knitted using beehive yarns, and I believe it's the colourway Raven Red. On her, it's a merino base of some sort, and her mohair lace. I love this colour so much. You ask Alex, I'm like, yeah, ask Alex, because he will care. No, I've said to Alex a few times that I was thinking about passing this one forward, and he's right. I do wear this if we're going out. Obviously, combination of not being very well, and then the whole COVID, and then, prices of things. We don't do like going out very much, so it's not necessarily that I don't wear it, it's just I've not really felt compelled, and it is kind of one that I keep for good, and not like I don't wear it ever if I'm not going somewhere fancy, but I do tend to keep it for, I've got two dresses that it looks beautiful with, and a tartan pencil skirt, but they're the sort of things that I don't often just casually wear. So it's kind of been kept for really good, and I'm really glad it has, because It is a beautiful piece. I love the shape. I wasn't sure about the folded collar, and I don't think generally that's not for me. I don't like the additional bulk. I like the finish, but I don't like the additional bulk here. I could steam it down maybe and reduce it, but these days I just prefer to do a sewn bind off or a tubular bind off and get that kind of feel anyway. I keep thinking about putting buttons on this one because it does actually have the buttonholes. It's the only one that I have. And I think I've got some buttons. They're sort of tiger's eye though, that's the thing, and I think I would just want some plain black buttons or clear buttons on this. But I still haven't decided, so it's still not got them. But I think it's a beautiful fit. Again, a fingering weight yarn with mohair. Just lasts beautifully, so it is one of my favourites, and Beehive's colours are absolutely gorgeous, and yeah. I think that's it. I say that like that's not taken a lot of both of our time, but if you have watched it and learnt something, I'm very glad. If you've watched it and you haven't, then I do apologise. I do really, really hope that this is a useful endeavour, because, you know, I would have found it useful when I started, and I still think well, I'd like to watch other people's a bit more so that I can see what they're doing and feeling and experiencing too. I feel like I've learned a little bit more about myself again, and a little bit more direction for my knitting in the future, which I think for me is important. I don't feel like I need any more jumpers. There's jumpers I would like to remove. There's jumpers like the Ranunculus I'm thinking I might just knit into something else. And I do think I'm going to host a swap shop party type thing, which I just ask a group of pals to come around and take whatever they want, as long as it's not my absolute favourites. Wow! What else to say? I'm not going to put any nature at the end of this. I think this is going to be plenty long enough. I've got a few fun things that I am hoping to work on. I've got some nice knitting projects that I'm working on. I hope you do. Lots of I do apologise. Most of all, please look after yourself. Knit with intention and be conscious about it. Have fun with your knitting. Be a bit braver. Be a bit braver than you want to be. I think we need some of that energy at the moment. You're amazing. Yeah, I don't think there's no other things other than just don't forget to love each other. I hope to see you again very, very soon. Stay warm and cozy, and I love you very much.